Hey friends, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Ray and I'm a second year Cambridge student studying physics, and in this video I will be sharing a system I came up with during my A-levels which helped me get my revision done whilst also making time for the things that I enjoy. As always, timestamps will be in the description down below, so let's get straight to the video. So I'll begin by explaining the problem, because only after understanding the problem can we fully appreciate the solution. So the problem I faced growing up, like most teenagers do, was that I spent weeks binging on shows, movies and games for weeks on end, only to realize that I was behind on work, then to binge on work for another few weeks, only to then burn out and go back to binging on shows and movies. I find myself having two problems with this way of doing things. Firstly, after binging on things we enjoy for a few weeks, the temptation to go back to binging after a few days of work can be pretty overwhelming. It was far too easy to think something like, oh, this maths problem is too hard, life was so much easier last week when all I did was play games and watch TV, and then to give up on studying for another few weeks. Secondly, I found that binging began to feel like a chore, and I found myself enjoying things that I thought I would enjoy less because I was actually doing it too much. Think of the times you had to sit through tons of filled episodes to get a good part of a series, or when you had to spend dozens of hours playing a game to level up enough to finally start having fun. Now, the inspiration I had for solving this problem actually came from doing some yard work on a hot summer's day. I'm not sure if you've ever had to build a shed with your parents or do some back-breaking labour, but I found I enjoy simple things much more after doing some work, whether it was drinking some ice-cold lemonade or eating a watermelon. In my experience, a watermelon's taste is much nicer after spending a few hours doing work in the sun than if I spend that time scrolling through Instagram in an air-conditioned room. The reason why it seems nicer is because I built up an appetite for it after doing some work. So the system I came up with to help me tackle those two issues was a rewards-based system. In short, I would accumulate points based on how much work I was getting done. For example, going through flashcards for an hour, that's 15 points. Doing a past paper, that's 25 points. Doing a topic test, probably 10 points. Then when it came to having rewards, I would set the price of a 20-minute TV show to be 50 points or an hour of gaming to be 125 points. Of course, you can make the rewards for the activities and the price of the rewards do whatever you like, but make sure it's reasonable and that doing one maths question doesn't give you a chance to play games for 3 hours or something. Now, before I explain how I kept track of accumulating and spending points, I'll talk about the advantages of the system. Now, whenever I explained the system to my friends at school, they thought it was silly and there's no way I could enjoy shows and games by using it. But funnily enough, I found myself enjoying shows and games much more and appreciating it more than I had ever done before. I think the reason comes down to what I said about yard work. By accumulating points through hours of studying, I found myself building up an appetite to find out what happens next on the next episode of Attack on Titan after the last cliffhanger. And when I had enough points, I would cash them out, and I find myself enjoying the next episode so much more because I had worked hard for it. This system also helped me stretch out a 6-episode series that would have taken me about 3 days to binge watch into 2 months, which I would watch alongside working, because the only way I could watch the next episode was if I gained enough points by doing the work. Plus, spacing out episodes actually helps you remember what happened and gives you something to look forward to as well. Now, a friend of mine, after hearing these advantages, ended up doing something quite similar. If he wanted to watch the next episode of some series, then he would have to spend an hour at the gym, and he said he enjoyed the show more as a result. Now, the main disadvantage of the system is that it requires some self-discipline to not give yourself too many points for simple activities and not watching the next episode despite not having enough points. I will be honest in saying there have been a few times in which I failed to muster up the self-discipline to not watch the next episode because I didn't have enough points. But overall, I found the system to be effective in making sure I was getting work done, whilst also enjoying the things I wanted to enjoy without feeling guilty about it. Now, if you're still watching, I'm guessing you're convinced by the system and want to know how to implement it into your own life. So the way in which I kept track of this was by using a spreadsheet, and I liked it because it gave me more flexibility and allowed me to customize my own system here. So on the spreadsheet, you can see I have total points, I have a task list over here and a rewards list, and the purpose of these two are to help me remember how many points I've assigned to different tasks. So let's say I do flashcards for 1 hour, and that's going to give me 15 points. I do a 60-minute topic test, that will give me 10 points. And let's say I do a 3-hour past paper, and using that ratio, that would give me 60 points. And now, let's say these are the tasks I've done today. And at the end of the day, I want to reward myself in some way, so I have 125 points, and I see that an hour of games costs 125 points. So I could say let's an hour of games, then I would write minus 125 points, and now I've gone back to 0 points. So I can keep track of my transactions over here and check how many points I have and stuff like that. Now, of course, how many points you assign for each of your tasks and rewards depends on how hard the task is or how long it takes and stuff like that. But ultimately, it's about finding the combination that works for you. You don't want your rewards to be so cheap, like let's say this is 5 points, and then just doing flashcards for an hour gives me an hour worth of TV shows. But if you're first getting started and you find it quite difficult, then you can set the bar pretty low, and as you find yourself managing more and more work, then you can increase the price of these rewards or reduce the amount of points the tasks give you. And if this transaction list is getting too long, then you can just go over here and then press duplicate and then just delete all the transactions over here and carry on the transactions from the previous month. So let's say I actually didn't spend an hour on games and I still had 125 points. Then I could just write here 125 carried over from January, and then I can split all these transactions by the month, and if I rename this spreadsheet to February, and then you can look back at the end of the year and, I don't know, do your own analysis and see how many points you gain and stuff like that. And the nice thing about this was, because this is synced on Google Drive, I can download the Google Sheets app on my phone and then update this on the go. Now, another way to do this is also using an app called Habitica. So this is available on both Android and iOS, but the only disadvantage of the app is that it doesn't let you set how many coins you gain from each of your tasks. Instead, you have to choose difficulty, whether it's easy, medium, or hard. And then it gives you the number of coins automatically. But then you can obviously decide how much each reward is going to cost, how many coins that will cost, so you can sort of adjust it there. I personally prefer the spreadsheet, but I'd recommend trying both and seeing whichever one you prefer. And now, if you find yourself struggling to stick to the system, then you can get one of your family members to change your Netflix password or something and only log you in when you have enough points to spend, and make sure you're logged out after the episode is over. But I'm sure there are tons of other cheats which you can do, and like I said, the system requires some level of self-discipline to not cheat yourself. But like with anything, you can gradually improve the amount of self-discipline you have over time the more times you exercise it. So do keep that in mind. But of course, if you find the system is systematically failing you despite your best efforts, then it's a good sign that you need to make some changes or try something else. It's not going to work for everyone, and just because I use it doesn't mean you have to force yourself to use it. If it doesn't work for you, then you should just do some research and find something else that works for you. Now, a common objection is that, well, you could get even more work done if you didn't watch shows or play games. But I think this objection has two problems. Firstly, it increases the risk of burnout because you don't have anything to reward yourself with and you don't have anything to use as part of your breaks. And secondly, if you can do, say, 6 hours of effective studying a day and accumulate enough points to reward yourself for an hour or so, and then that's so much better than without the system, where you would, say, do 2 hours of effective studying a day and having nothing to reward yourself with afterwards. Basically, the best system is the one that you actually use, and if you can use a system to help you get more work done, then that's pretty great. Anyways, that's it from me. If you found the video useful, then leave a like. If not, leave a dislike and do let me know why. If you think I earned your subscription, then do subscribe, and in that case, I'll see you next time.